Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another great episode of the Elevate Beyond Show. I am your host, Jake Kelfer, and today is episode 10, a decade in the life of the Elevate Beyond Show, and we are going strong. We are just getting bigger and better. I see Joey's commenting the elevation station. Yes, that is true. We are elevating, and we are in the station. So today, I want to just jump right into it. We have a very, very amazing guest coming on, someone who I am privileged to call a friend, someone who is doing some amazing things and has an interesting journey that I think is really just getting started for her. So the person that's going to be our guest today is none other than Christen Harper. And Christen and I have known each other for about a decade now, which, Christen, is kind of crazy to say. So let me bring you on, and everyone who's listening, let's give her a big round of applause. Seconds for Christen. While you're waiting, just let me know in the comments where you guys are tuning in from.
How does this work? Ah! Hi.
What's up?
What's up? Here we are.
Welcome to the Beyond Show.
Thank you for having me.
I got a little home office going. Is that what I'm looking at?
I'm in my living room, which is also my studio. So it means that my bed, my living room, my kitchen is all in the same place. So, no.
That's incredible. Well, it looks super, super official. You look great. Looks great. And let's get this party started. You ready?
Yeah. Hey, everyone.
Okay. So, Christen, the way it kind of works is I'm just going to pepper you with some questions. We'll see where that takes us, and we have to see where it goes. So, first off, tell everybody kind of what your deal is, your story, and most importantly, though, just the journey you've been on and where it's taken you.
Okay. Yeah. I work now as a model actress. But I wasn't always planning on doing that. I always had an interest in it, but I never really gave myself the credit or allowed myself to think that it was a possibility to do those things. So I went to school and I thought I was going to work in PR. And then I decided to stop, second guessing myself. And I went and signed with an agency first for modeling. And so I worked as a model full time for about the last 4 years. And I love every second of that, but I also know that there's something, I wanted something more, and acting is that for me. The creativity there is really fun, and it gives you more room to be yourself and to have a voice and have some fun. So that's where I'm heading now. I just filmed a movie and that should be out maybe in a year. I don't know. So it's a journey for sure. Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna dive into that. Okay, we're gonna dive into the transition.
Sure.
But if I'm not mistaken, you did modeling as a child too, right? In some former things, right? Are we bringing up some skeletons here? But
no. I mean, I did that when I was like 9 to like 14. I was like a Barbie commercial model, and I did a bunch of stuff when I was little, which was really cool. I loved it. And I stopped though through high school and college. I mean, it's interesting for modeling and stuff. There's you have to be the right size, and I wasn't the right size anymore. And I didn't fit the sample sizes, as some people would say. So I had to stop. And that was it. So it wasn't really my choice to stop. It was more of like I had to stop because I just didn't fit the clothes. And then I eventually got back into it. So, but I took a nice like 7-year break, I think. And I think that's good to not be in the industry for like that long.
But okay, so it's interesting to me though, because you're a very self-confident woman. And at the time this was happening, you were in your high school, your college years where you were evolving as a person. And one of the stereotypes in society is models have to look this way and they have to fit this size. How did that play into your overall psyche and how did you push through that? Because I'm sure it wasn't easy at points.
Yeah, I think we're in a period right now where there's a lot of change, and especially being in LA as opposed to other places in the world as a model, there's a little more. It's a commercial kind of market, so there's a little bit more room for fitting into a what they would call like normal people sizes. So I was never like a full sample size model, which is like a 2. I'm a little bit bigger than that. So I think at first that was a hard pill to swallow, but then I started to realize, like we're not all supposed to be, supermodels that are walking down the runway, and we don't all have to be that. We all have something different to bring to the table. So I think learning that you don't have to fit into a certain size to be considered, beautiful or something was huge. And it took a while for me to get there. I had some hard times at first trying to understand that. But once you learn to just accept yourself and know that you don't have to fit into these guidelines, you can find a little, like a niche, and go from there.
Would you tell somebody that might be going through this process right now, and whatever it is, maybe it's not fitting into the right model per se, but maybe it's just fitting into their body, their mental state, fitting into their job. What would you just say to someone who's kind of going through this type of period in their life?
I think the most important thing is taking time and understanding who you are as a person, and understanding what makes you tick, what excites you, what interests you, and what you love. Because I think once you have that understanding of yourself, you'll then know what you can bring to the table. And it doesn't have to be, sizes or anything like that. It could be, you're really interested in this aspect and so much about something, and you can bring that to the table. And it's learning what you can bring to the table. And I don't know. Yeah.
No, I think that's
I don't know. I go on rambles.
No, I think it's a great answer, because I think that everybody has something so great to offer. And I think a lot of us think that only people that think they have it can actually be the ones that have it. But in reality, we can all have it within us. And
Right.
if we put ourselves out there and are willing to be vulnerable and to put ourselves in a position where, yeah, we might succeed or we may fail, but as long as we're learning and growing, that's something powerful.
And I think it's huge. And I think it's walking through your day with that, because if you think you can bring something to the table, you're also looking and you're open to everybody else around you, like bringing something to the table and taking that in as well. So I think listening to other people is a huge thing. I think we have a hard time listening these days. Like, we're not taking the time to listen. Everything's so quick. I think it's really important to take time for yourself and also take time to listen to other people.
I think that's a lot. I think that's a beautiful point. Listening is something that is actually going to be one of the chapters of the book, because I think it's so important. And I think it's really important for people to grow. Important for when you listen, you can really hear the other person and be with that other person and be in the moment. So let's put the focus back on you. So you're modeling, and you're like, wait a second, this is great. I'm good at it. I like it. But I want to do something even more. And that was how involved, what's that process been like? And you mentioned earlier you were in a film. Talk about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've always loved modeling, but I've always had an interest in film. I wanted to study film. I originally wanted to be on the other side of the camera, but I kind of, that whole thing about accepting that you're allowed to have huge dreams for yourself was a big thing. And so I decided that, I could give it a shot. I could try to be an actress. So I signed with a management company and started going out for things. And first I studied acting for about 2 years. And so once I felt more secure in my abilities, then I moved forward with signing with the agency and a manager. And it's such a different process than modeling, because modeling, you show up to like a casting, which is essentially a job interview, and you show up, you try on some clothes, and they take a picture of you and you leave. It's like a 3-minute process. But for acting, they give you sides and you have a few days to study them, and it could be like 7 to 20 pages of lines, and you memorize them. And so you put so much more effort into these little meetings. So it also makes it that much more devastating when you don't get a call back or something. So I've learned so much about rejection with modeling, but acting is really different, because you're really putting your time and your effort and your heart and your soul into something, and it may or may not work out, or you get really attached to projects and that don't work out. And it's a nice learning process about, you know, rejection. And I mean, you can't even think about it like rejection. What was the question?
The question, how you wanted to modeling and why, which you answered. And then talk about this success. Because, yeah, we're going to face rejection. That's part of the game. And
Yeah.
very difficult. And there's a lot of people that want to do it. And you might not be perfect for every part. But there was a part you were perfect. Right. And I believe you were just in East Coast filming on that project. What can you tell us that project and that experience?
Oh, it was amazing. I had the best time. Through that time, I realized that this is really what I want to do. This is what's for me. It's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of, you know, before I even went there, I had the script for about a month. So every day before I went to sleep, I read the entire script every night before I went to bed. And while I was there, you know, I continued to do that. And it was just such an interesting process. It was an interesting learning experience. It was my first film, so I learned so much from the other talented actors and actresses. It was just a really good experience. It was really fun to be in a place with these people, these creative people, for a month. I just felt like everybody there just loved what they did, and they were all so talented at their jobs. And it was really just a fun experience because I got to watch all these people just love what they do, and together we all created something really cool. Yeah.
Do you think that, and you've done a good job getting in front of the camera, but you said that you thought maybe you'd want to be originally on the other side of the camera. Do you think that as your career takes off in that world, you could end up being on
so you cut out the end, being on the other side, is that what you said?
Sides of the camera.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what I would want to do. I would love to write or produce. I don't think I'm cut out for directing. I'm not a very good director, but writing and producing would be something I would absolutely love to do. And I think there's so much room for that, especially right now. It's women in film. It's really important to get, more women involved in production and writing and stories that are important to females. So I would love to do that. And I think that's something in a few years I'll really start to push into.
So we have a couple more questions for you. And
okay.
Them is acting takes a ton of work. And I know from watching you progress through this journey that you've put in a lot of time. But a lot of people have this mentality that modeling or acting is just you show up, you learn your slide, role, and you do it. The process that you did to learn the abilities to get you ready for audition.
Well, I mean, I studied at a studio for about 2 years, and at first it was about 3 days a week, and each of those 3 days was 3 hours, so that's 9 hours a week. And then on top of that, I would rehearse for about 5 hours. So I was dedicating about, like 12 to 17 hours a week just to studying acting and watching films on top of that and reading plays. And I mean, there's just so much to learn, and you have to always think that you can show up to a job or an audition, but somebody is working harder than you always. And I think to put yourself in the best light, you always have to really study and really do everything you can to prepare yourself. Because I mean, I always feel when I walk into an audition, even if I prepared as much as I could have, I always wish I had 2 more hours or even, so you're never over prepared. And as long as you put in the time and effort, it'll pay off in some way, eventually. But you definitely, with acting, you just have to put in the work, because there's a million other people, especially here in LA, that are working 10 times harder than you, always.
And I think as we kind of get ready for the final couple questions, you've done an incredible job of putting yourself in a position for success. And I want to just acknowledge you, Christen. I follow your journey. We talk in person. We lunch, we do whatever we do as friends, but that like it's inspiring to see you able to create this persona, to create growth in this industry. And I mean, for me, it's so cool to see how you've been able to do it, and with all of social media and how you've just been able to build and build and build. And I think you're really just getting started. I'm to see where this app.
Thank you. I mean, it is exciting. It's exciting to watch you too. I mean, I think it's really fun to see your friends like do what they love, and I feel like you're doing that. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm having a pretty good time. I'm not gonna lie.
I know you are. I know you are.
It's fun, but it's a grind. But that's what part of the journey is, right? So, final few questions. How can people follow you or stay in touch with you? Obviously, we have your Instagram, but are there any other social media platforms, websites, anything that you want to share with people?
I'd say most up-to-date information is going to be on Instagram. That's pretty much where I'm at.
Your handle is at Christen Harper. Is that correct?
Yes, I spell it weird. CHRISTEN Harper.
Okay, great. And the reason we explain that, even though we're doing this live on Instagram, is because we get this up on YouTube after, so that it can have a place. So if someone watches it there. Okay, and so for my final question of the day, Christen, drum roll, please. No, I'm just. But what is your definition of success?
I mean, I feel like I have a few definitions of success, but I think the most important one is, no matter how I've seen this, in the world, I've seen a lot of successful people, and the ones that are happy with themselves and are happy with what they're doing are they're the most successful, because they might not even be, the richest or the most powerful or anything like that, but they're the happiest because they've put in the work to something they love, and they get to be around the people they love all day. And I think that's true success. Finding what you love, doing it, surrounding yourself with good people, and making time for work, but also making time for happiness, and just downtime is so important. And I think that's what success is. It's not working yourself to death, but it's doing what you love and going after what you care about.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful note to end, Christen. So with that, Christen, thank you so much for coming on episode 10 of the Elevate Beyond show. Everybody that tuned in, your comments. We appreciate most of them. It's been great. We appreciate your support. And Christen, it's been a pleasure. And for everyone else, we will see you next time on the Elevate Beyond show.
Thank you, Jake. Bye.
Bye.